Okay, Ms. Harden, when you're ready.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a picture which I hope they'll put up in a bit, and I'll start with something else. So first, speaking for myself, Corey Harden, supporting Resolution 499 and 507 regarding vote by mail. Vote by mail has a lot of advantages. It's way easier on staff. There's less sleep deprivation, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, less chaos, and less pressure to make quick decisions. You need fewer workers. There's no last-minute hiring. There's fewer paychecks and W-2s to prepare, fewer people to train, and less stress if someone is absent. There's no scramble to find polling places, no setup or tear down, no extra phones needed, and no transporting and safeguarding of election materials. Count and recount accuracy are ensured since all ballots are paper, and attempts to vote more than once are quickly caught. In Oregon, coercion and vote buying have not been problems, and if this occurred on a large enough scale to change the outcome, the chances of getting caught are pretty high. You don't need expensive voting machines, which many voters don't trust anyway. There was one study, and every machine in use at the time had security or reliability flaws. Voter signatures are verified before a ballot is counted, whereas with polls, signatures are not checked until after the election, and you can't link a signature to a specific ballot. Vote-by-mail workers can be trained for signature identification, and questionable ballots can be set aside for review. Vote-by-mail is confidential. Once you take the ballot out of the return envelope, you can't figure out who cast the ballot. Vote-by-mail solves some of the problems that people have cited for voting in a 2004 study. Too busy, illness or disability, out of town, inconvenient polling place, transportation problems, and bad weather like Storm Iselle. Some people miss the tradition and the community building ritual of going to the polling place, but there can be new rituals with vote by mail of talking over issues with family and friends, and you will never be surprised in the voting booth by something unexpected on the ballot. Some people worry that some upset event may happen right after they vote, but they can just wait to mail in their vote to the last minute to prevent that.
You have 30 seconds.
I'm speaking on two issues, so I'm on the second one right now.
Oh, you transitioned? Okay.
Okay, and if you don't have a mailing address, you can use a county address and vote in person, as they do in Oregon. Vote by mail turnout is higher for small elections, so this doesn't hold true for general elections. The cost can be less than traditional voting, but that probably should be looked at in each individual case. And if you try to stick to polling places and also do vote by mail, that can get very costly because you need enough poll workers, polls, and ballots in case everyone decides to go to the polls, plus you're already paying for vote by mail. And last but not least, with vote by mail, you will never be embarrassed by showing up at the wrong polling place. And this information is from League of Women Voters of Texas, and I think it's the National Council of State Legislators. And on the third thing, oh, they got my picture, thank you. I'm supporting Resolution 512 for safe routes to school, speaking for myself. The need to spend almost $100,000 to provide a few safe routes to school shows that the car is ruling way too much of our lives. The picture on the right shows how well-designed neighborhoods are also needed. It's from the Safe Routes to School website. If you look at the picture on the right there, you can see a kid going from home to school. They have a very long trip, and part of it is on a major road, and that child would probably not even try to walk to school. They'd probably go by bus or car. The picture on the left shows a good way to design neighborhoods. There's a short, safe route to school, and this kid will probably walk. So it's not just getting in the sidewalks for the kids and the curb cuts for the wheelchairs and the bike lanes. It's like the whole design, of course, when people come to you for approval for their development plans. The People's Advocacy for Trails Hawaii website points out that kids getting to school under their own power, biking, walking, get exercise and arrive at school energized, not asleep. Adults save money on gas, spend less time in traffic. There are choices for people of all ages of abilities as how they travel. Everyone benefits from more places to walk, ride bikes, skateboard, and so forth. People with disabilities will need less help to travel. I have a daughter who is blind, and she could probably manage someday the picture on the left, but the picture on the right would be very difficult. There's less vehicle emissions. People walking are more likely to talk to each other, and so you build a sense of community, which prevents many other problems. So the Safe Routes to School program benefits everyone and helps counteract many of the unintended consequences of the car. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hardin. Okay, we're going to transition to Kona. Scott, we can take your 3 testifiers, and we'll transition to Kau after that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Our first testifier today is John Grogan in support of 528, Resolutions 528, 536, and 538.
Good morning, Council. My name again is John Grogan. I am the 5-term past president of the West Hawaii Veterans Cemetery Association, and I'm appearing before the council today in the capacity as the past president at the cemetery. I wish to first of all thank the Hawaii County Council for its very generous support of veterans issues here in West Hawaii, and in particular our West Hawaii Veterans Cemetery. The resolutions that Scott mentioned all address the West Hawaii Veterans Cemetery, and I want the council to know how much the reforestation project means to us. We have planted over 10,000 native Hawaiian plants. The only plants that we plant at the cemetery are native Hawaiian, in our effort to restore the native Hawaiian forests that flourished along the coastline. We've literally involved thousands of West Hawaii and other people as far away as Brières, France, who have come to our cemetery to plant plants in memory of a loved one or someone who did something special for them in their lives. There are many people that come to the cemetery that have no obvious connection to the cemetery, and as much as they won't be buried there and they don't know anyone there, but for whatever their personal reasons, they support the cemetery, and we recognize how important that is to us. Our cemetery, as you may know, is one of 3 state-owned cemeteries in all of America, and there are hundreds, that has achieved the status of shrine status with the federal government. So we're quite proud of that achievement. With regard to the reforestation project that Councilwoman Ford is proposing $2,000, we'll use that money to purchase seedlings and other plants. And there are many schools in the West Hawaii community that support our cemetery with projects raising the seedlings to plants that we can plant at the cemetery and elsewhere. And with regard to the wreaths, I know that Cadets Joshua and Stephen are here to provide testimony. I just want the council to know that the association is very much supportive of that resolution. And with regard to Councilwoman Ford's proposal to purchase flags for the cemetery. Those of you on the council 4 years ago may remember that you folks were very generous in purchasing the flags that we continue to use at the cemetery. Our military branch flags are still serviceable, although they're 4 years old. We only fly them on special occasions. We are, however, in need of new, larger American flags, state of Hawaii flags, and POW flags. Those are the flags that we fly on a daily basis, and they have to be a high wind resistant material, polyester. And our estimate with vendors, and recognize the county purchased these through their own vendors, but we expect that cost to be in the range of $2,000, including shipping. We again appreciate the council's involvement at the cemetery, and we would appreciate your favorable vote on those 3 resolutions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next testifier is Joshua Myrick in support of Resolution 536, representing Civil Air Patrol.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank the council's time. We are requesting some discretionary funds for the use of purchasing wreaths for the Westwhy Veteran Cemetery to commemorate the great sacrifice that those members have placed on this country. As President Reagan once said, we are no more than one generation away from, freedom is no more than one generation away from extinction. These sons and daughters have greatly extended that process and allowed for one more generation of freedom. And we would just like to ask that you help us honor those sons and daughters so that their memory is not forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next testifier is Stephen Gonzalez in support of Resolution 536, also representing Civil Air Patrol.
Good morning, Council. Thank you for letting me have this time to speak on Resolution 536. A quick brief in Wreaths Across America. It was founded in 2007 by the Worcester family, and we put wreaths in over 900 locations, including Arlington Cemetery in Washington, D.C. We have approximately 350 sites here at the West Hawaii Veteran Cemetery, and we just want to honor all the veterans that we have. They gave their life so that we could have a better country, and I think that it would be really beneficial if we could get money for that. And I just really want to honor those veterans because it really means a lot to us. Thank you, Council, for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay, we'll be transitioning to Ka'u. Ka'u, your first testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Richard Abbott in support of Bill 499.14 and 507.14, representing himself.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning and aloha. I'm Richard Abbott, Ocean View. After the last election, we noticed that our process for voting does not necessarily work in all cases, including natural disaster. And as been pointed out, we do have a hurricane season that doesn't hit us every year, but does hit us. And as such, we do need to improve it. Normally, we say if something isn't broken, don't fix it, but ours is broken in those cases. And we have made changes already, incremental, and I would suggest that we continue in that direction and create a next step in developing our own Hawaiian way to participate that is fair, clear, and concise, and trustworthy, to improve voter turnout and to guarantee the right to vote for all people. Vote by mail has been very successful in Oregon and Washington. It has improved participation and in most elections has reduced costs. In my professional career, I ran for Thurston County Auditor in Washington in a race against the current Secretary of State, Kim Wyman, who was the incumbent auditor of Thurston County. She and I